G Microchains, everybody. G Microchains, and welcome to the Developer Workshop. Today is Tuesday, April 8th. We are very excited to have you guys here, and also our incredible guests, James and Matthew. Welcome very much. Welcome, guys.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, G Microchains.
And thank you, everybody who's here in the chat. Sorry it took us a few extra minutes, but we're excited to get started. Let's make that a little bit bigger. All right, so what are we talking about today? Let me give you just a quick overview before I hand it over to Matthew. So first off, we are still in the Developer Challenge month, this month of April, Games on Microchains, meaning we are encouraging everybody who's here to create a game on Microchains. And there's a bunch of different rewards that we're offering, including earning the builder role, 50,000 XP, and having the game included in a community-wide tournament for everybody to be able to play. When we say games on Microchains, it really could be any kind of game that you're thinking. It could be a card game, a puzzle game, a strategy game, or a real multiplayer game. So really anything that you think of. And if you have an idea and you want to kind of bounce it off the team, jump into Discord, into the developer chat, and we can have a conversation about it. The deadline is April 30th. All you got to do is include a GitHub link and the URL to the playable front end of the game. And we're here to help. The judging panel will be James and Matthew, who are here, plus Wilton and some of the community developers. So we're excited to see what you guys produce. Last week on the Developer Workshop, we went through the testnet. It was a super, super deep explanation that Matthew gave about where we're going. Right now, we're in Archimedes, testnet 1, and testnet 2, codename Babbage, is coming soon. So excited for that. The countdown has begun, and that's kind of the intro. We're now going to hand it over to Matthew, who's going to take us through today's agenda. So Matthew, over to you.
All right, thanks, Danny. Yeah, so it's been a pretty busy week. Couple of announcements, and in particular, the fungible demo that you had. We gave you a preview of last week, and it was announced yesterday on Twitter. People are excited, and thanks for everybody for all the reshares. This is the video. A capture of the video that was made, really happy, and congrats again, James, also for all the work that was put into this web demo. Next item, I updated the roadmap. So last time I presented the roadmap, I've made a few more adjustments, so you guys can check it out. I don't know if we have shared the link of this page, by the way, Danny. In the comment.
Yeah, I can share it in the Discord and in the comments as well, so that people can play along. So hold on, I'll do that as you continue to take us through. So you put in some cool visual images into the roadmap. Nice improvements. That. Oh, we lost Matthew. Here he's back.
Sorry. Okay. Using the back button was a mistake. I couldn't post the link. Anyways, all right.
I got it. Don't worry, I got that.
You got this. Yeah. So I made a nice graphic. Nothing too fancy. I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, we'll keep iterating on the roadmap, and definitely, prioritizing, all the cool features and the steps on our way to mainnet. Speaking of which, we just cut the branch for testnet number 2, Babbage, and so expect that to be. So we are now starting the process to migrate the different nodes to the testnet, and expect an announcement hopefully next week, and then the web demo and everything that we presenting will be runnable on the testnet, and so it's going to be very cool. couple of improvements that we made on the engineering side. So block execution for those that are building and following us on Discord, the block execution is now cached, and that's a big deal. We expecting something like 2x improvement on the transactions per second, and the best thing, it was not like necessarily even like a lot of code to write. So we are pretty happy with that. We just on the main branch, which is now testnet Babbage, we also made some improvements to the command line interface. So some people were asking about how to initialize storage, and we have this new command that is a bit cleaner than the previous one. Now, in terms of bug fixes, we and trying to be quick here also to leave some time for the presentation of James on the web client coming in a minute. If you can extend the bug fixes, Danny.
You got it.
So we fixed a bug with the Alary cache that was not optimal, and we fixed the recovery steps. That was a bug that was brought to us just yesterday on Discord. So you can see we're fixing stuff very quickly. Coming soon. Lots of good things. So we're gonna document the web client that was presented to you last week and this week. We're gonna we're working really hard on block signing from EVM wallets. So the having a connect button and being able to use something like MetaMask is a big deal for us in the next milestone on the client side. We're also working on the backend, making change creation easier. That's something that is a bit technical, but the idea is that down the road we could easily create chains from outside Linera, including from the chains of partners. So that's something that's really interesting. Also makes the code cleaner. We've been actively working on also the support for as you know, the EVM. And so the next step for us, and there are a couple of PRs that are in the works for adding support for cross-application calls. So basically composability between EVM and other EVM, like between EVM applications and between EVM applications and WASM applications. And finally, coming soon, the benchmarks. We're working really actively on this. So this list may not be done next week, but that's really the spirit. It's like coming anytime. Okay, that was all for me. Do we have any question for this on the chat?
A lot of G microchains. So,
G microchains to you guys as well.
Thank you guys all for being here. Feel free to drop any questions either in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or on X, or if you want to jump into the Discord, we have a developer workshop AMA thread going in dev chat, and I've also posted the link to what Matthew just presented, this Notion page. So feel free to jump in there if you have any other detailed questions. Yeah,
definitely. And we in this workshop, sometimes we're presenting things that are relatively technical, and so we're always happy to explain more if there's any question. And speaking of which, now we have a presentation from James to explain us how the fungible demo works, essentially, and what are next steps for the web client.
Should we start by actually showing the demo again that we just posted on X, and then we can kind of go into the explanation?
Yeah, we can never demo too much.
Absolutely. And actually, even before we get into that, really quick, I did have one question about your presentation, Matthew.
Yes.
You mentioned benchmarks. Can you define what you mean by benchmarks?
Yes. So we are going to announce some results in terms of TPS and low latency on the server side soon. We're working on a big number. Don't want to steal our thunder here, but yeah, we are
don't say any actual.
We are fully horizontal blockchain, meaning that in theory there's no limit in the TPS. So
yeah,
of course in practice
many other blockchain. We hear
when we
sorry, keep going.
So I was saying our design supports any TPS. Of course, on the engineering side, when you actually implement the thing, you need to choose a number of machines. You need to choose dimensions that make sense. And so we are working on some demo to prove our point in terms of TPS.
Well said. All right. Well, let's go over this demo one more time that was just posted on to X yesterday. This is a demo that lets you transfer test tokens from a web UI updated in real time, powered by microchains. And so I'm going to make this video big and people can kind of see what's going on here. Either James or Matthew, explain as this is going on, what is happening.
And you can go, Jeff, if you want.
Thank you. Yes, I'm just looking to see what's going on. So what's happening here is that we have, on the left-hand side, we have one account in the, both of these pages have loaded our fungible demo web frontend, which has loaded the Linera client as a JavaScript library. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, there is one client with a particular account string. And on the right-hand side, this is another client running in a different browser, different machine, etc. And what's happening is that as soon as you load the page, the client library is loading and connecting to the Linera network. And then when you type, and you can see that because you see the chains that you're getting, you're seeing the blocks as well of the newly created chains with their applications loaded on them. And when you take the address out of one of these pages and give it to the other page, that then lets you send a set of what we call fungible tokens from your balance here. So this is using the native fungible application, which means that these are fungible tokens that represent currency of the Linera native currency that you'll use to actually process your transactions. And we can see in real time, as one user sends funds to another user, within a few microseconds, you're getting, or a few milliseconds, you're getting you're getting that immediately updated in the UI of the other user. And this is possible because we actually have real-time streaming notifications. So what happens is that as soon as a block is created on the other user's chain, this user's front end is immediately notified there's a new block and can start to process it straight away. There's no need to poll or repeatedly look at the current state of the microchain. And yeah, JalKK, I see that you're soliciting funds in your own chain there. When we did this live, we actually had I think it was Danny run this application live for everybody to see, and everybody just pasted their tokens into that chain, and we could interactively see Danny's balance go up. This is possible, of course, at the moment because just as we're on testnet, every time you create a chain at the moment, there's a faucet that funds you a few coins, about 100, I think, which we can then centralize into Danny's account, which is good for him.
I'll take it. There was a question. Is the NAT token? Is this some sort of? I think that's the native token you said. People wanted to know if that was some sort of an Easter egg for the future or anything.
It's very uninteresting, I'm afraid. It's literally just so this application theoretically supports, you can create any kind of coin you want, right, with any ticker token you like. This one, we've chosen the most boring possible token, which is the token that's used to pay the gas fees on Linera.
Well, I mean, and more importantly, it's a test network. It's not Linera mainnet or even testnet. It's like really a developer, like a temporary developer network. It will run on a testnet. This demo will run on a testnet starting next week, when the new testnet is out. But the new testnet is not going to be the next testnet is not going to be incentivized. So the token will still be like really useless for some time. But we're working on it.
So you cannot buy a Lambo with the NAT Linera token on testnet quite yet.
You can spend them on the testnet to run things, but they will absolutely vanish on the next testnet. So don't go investing in them just yet.
All right. So now we're going to go into how it's all working. Right, James?
Yeah, we've got a question here, but I'm not quite sure what to make out of it.
Okay. Here's the question. Is it hard to add the send receive these systems to the website extension, any AUDA yet? So I think this has to do with the browser extension and kind of when that. I think there's two questions here. One has to do with the browser extension, and another has to do with kind of security audits. But you can talk about that when that fits into the roadmap.
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a moment. Let's see, how does this work? Okay, so for this presentation, I'm going to take us through first of all the three different aspects of the web client architecture. First of all, the hosted mode, which is what we demoed with this demo previously. Then I'm going to talk about the installed mode, which is how we hope that the Linera web client will be used in the future. And then I'm going to chat a little bit about external signing, which is a feature that we think is really exciting. That has not... Excuse me. Interesting. Let me try to refresh this. There's a diagram in here. I will post the link to this web page on Discord right now.
It's working.
Yeah, that's better. Just have to refresh.
Can you zoom in though?
Yeah, I probably can. Let's see. How's that?
That's better.
Better?
Thank you.
Nice. Right, so this is what you're seeing in that demo. So we've got a hosted DApp frontend, which is our fungible frontend. And that web page, that's just a standard web page that directly includes the Linera client library. And this library is available in NPM. You can install it with your favorite package manager, or you can use unpackage to just include it straight from the web page. Now that library actually includes a WASM blob that is the entirety of the Linera protocol client. That's the real client that we really use to interact with the testnet. It's all been compiled from Rust to WebAssembly, and the API exported to JavaScript. And then we have a little SDK layer in Linera Web Client that simply exposes that in a nice way to JavaScript. And if you look at the presentation from last time, Island Coco, that might be of interest to you. You can see how to integrate that directly into a website now. And it's not too much code, I think. I designed the API, so I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but it's pretty simple. And behind the scenes, that then replaces all of the native networking and cryptography and WASM, etc., from Linera protocol with browser-based equivalents. So we use, instead of threads, we're using web workers instead of the WASM interpreter, which is our interpreter of choice at the moment. We use the browser WebAssembly API. Instead of TCP networking, we use the browser's fetch API. And that's how we then connect directly to the Linera network. So that's what we've seen so far. What's coming up next, and what we hope will be the main way of using the Linera web client moving forwards, is that instead of just having this front end that connects that includes the client directly. Sorry, let's go back a moment. The reason we call this the hosted mode is that it's essentially equivalent to an application architecture we see a lot from you guys, where you host what we call a node service on your own infrastructure. And the node service is, of course, just a little GraphQL controllable client. So it's a client that connects to the Linera network, and then it presents a web service that you can connect to, and you can issue GraphQL queries and mutations to control that client, to install applications, to communicate with applications, and so on and so forth. And so what we typically see is that people will host one of these, and then they'll have a web front end that connects to that GraphQL client and issues GraphQL commands to it. And this is how our applications in Linera protocol also work. Now, the reason that we call this the hosted mode is because security-wise, what happens when you run something like this is morally equivalent to that. So the same person is serving you both the web front end and also the client that you're using to interact with the network. Now, that's fine if you trust that person, of course, but if you don't, there's all kinds of nonsense they could get up to, right? They could ask you to sign something, but pretend you're actually signing something else. They can display whatever front end they like to you that may or may not match what's actually going on in the application. There's no security link between the front end and the back end of the application that's running on the network. So what we'd like to do instead is have you use this installed mode. Now, in installed mode, the web client, instead of being embedded directly into the page, the web client will be installed by you, the user, into your browser as a browser extension. And this will go through all of the usual security procedures. We'll sign it with our Linera public keys so you can verify that signature. We will host it on the browser extension stores, so it's been verified by the browser publishers. And so hopefully you can trust that's really the real client that's not going to lie to you about anything.
Maybe you can zoom out a little bit, Danny.
Oh, it's me controlling this one.
Oh, okay.
It's really only this bit that's interesting. So, so where we previously had this hosted app embedding the client directly, now the client is still used in the same way, but it's used inside a browser extension that you've installed. And this browser extension provides, on top of that, two different things. There's the extension UI. So there'll be a graphical interface for managing your wallets, for managing your chains and for managing your installed applications and things like that. And it also provides this front-end SDK library. Now, the front-end SDK library is the thing that you would include in the front end instead of the client directly. And it looks very similar in usage to the client library, except that instead of establishing a client yourself and getting a chain from the faucet or setting up the initial wallet however you like, you'd instead behind the scenes it works quite differently. It communicates with this extension. So as the front-end developer for an application, what you would do instead is request permission from the user to communicate with this application. And that would then prompt the user in their extension to grant you this access. And once you've done that, you're then allowed to communicate with the application using the same kinds of APIs you did in the hosted mode, except that the user now has full control over everything that's going on. So the user no longer has to trust that the client library being served by the developer is in fact the real Linera client, because it's not the developer who's serving it to you anymore. It's now come directly from us and installed by you. And then behind the scenes, everything works just as it used to. The extension is still using the standard Linera client library, still uses the browser API, still connects to the Linera network. Just we've added a layer of trust now around the client itself. Let's see if we've got any questions about that. No, we're good. Okay. Does anyone like to post something?
I was wondering if we have shared this page on Discord. Maybe we could.
I have.
Yep.
I have.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Awesome. Perfect.
And Danny's live posting the diagrams as well, I think. Right. So the next step for us, and there's something you might be wondering, which is why we don't call this a wallet, right? If you look at MetaMask or Nightly or any of the Ethereum wallets, they call this a wallet. And the reason for that is actually quite fun, which is that we don't think that we need to be a wallet at all. A wallet, of course, being something that takes care of private keys for you. So it presumably has some kind of built-in security. You have some recovery mechanism, maybe a mnemonic passphrase. There'll be some UI for handling the different wallets you might have. Backups, restores, all of that good stuff. And we're pretty lazy, so we basically don't want to do any of that if we can avoid it, right? Why have a new point of failure when we've already got all of these excellent wallets out there that are mature, that integrate all of these exciting security features that keep you safe? So what we'd really love to do is take the where we're currently doing signing, and this is all entirely future work at the moment. No, it's already started, already in progress in the code base. Where we currently hold private keys inside the client, we'd actually like to outsource that. And we have some candidates in mind for where we might outsource this to. We might outsource to a software wallet like MetaMask. And there's some really exciting work going on, by the way, to make our cryptography EVM compatible in a way that means that we can manage our private keys with MetaMask. Or perhaps something even more sophisticated like a hardware wallet or an external signing service over the network. And the way that we would...
And wallets by the community as well.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to present us with a wallet, please go ahead. Hopefully the integration will be easy. Yeah. So the client would then work the same, but instead of directly executing the transactions, we'd return the transaction back up to the web client, which would then call out to one of these external signers to get the signature for the transaction that we then send onto the network. I realize I've been gesturing with my cursor, and I don't think you can see my cursor at all, but hopefully you've been following along. Yeah, so we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah, this is great. Awesome. Yeah, no, so 3 steps. First hosted, then browser extension, then wallet. And then we also, I wanted also maybe worth, and so every step is increasing the security, obviously. Yeah. And then there would be the only thing left would be the actual web page, right? That's running the UI that's provided by the developers of the application. And guess what? There are actually people providing secure hosting for web pages. We've announced a partnership with Walrus, and that's one of their features. So we could, if we put everything together, so the browser extension, external wallet, and then a Walrus hosted site for the applications, you will get like a fully signed execution for all the components in the code, which is kind of cool.
Completely trustless. And
well, it's cool and also unheard of for real-time performances, right? Like I think this is something I'd like to explain is that you could be trustless using zero-knowledge proofs, for instance, in many blockchains. They have light clients based on zero-knowledge proofs. But then you have to pay the cost in terms of latency. But here in Linera, we're putting together at the same time this end-to-end security and the real-time latency through the hard work and this clever design with microchains.
Anyone got any questions? Or we can move on.
Just telling everybody that you can go to Discord, and then within dev chat, there's a thread, the developer workshop AMA, and you can see all the slides here and also the link to the presentation, the agenda, and all the diagrams.
Fantastic. All right.
Thanks so much. Thanks, James. Really exciting stuff. Danny, did we have more to present today?
No, if there's no other questions, then I think this was an amazing overview of what's being built and what's to come. James, thank you so much for walking us through what you're building. It's pretty incredible stuff. Yeah, and Matthew, thanks for giving us some things to get excited about for the future.
Of course. Well, it was good to see you all. Take care.
I'm really looking forward to your games on microchains.
Drop us some questions in the chat in Discord for any technical assistance you may need. We're very happy to help.
Yeah, we're all available. Right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Join Linera first. Thank me later.